So what is all the consternation for real estate consumers and real estate professionals around the clear cooperation policy? The clear cooperation policy basically is a mandate that says any new listing that is brought to a brokerage should be inputted into the multiple listing service within a certain period of time. What this is supposed to do is to create a level playing field for the buying consumer so they can see all of the inventory. In August, the DOJ mandated a change to how cooperation works between agents and said that no longer could a listing agent compensate a buyer's agent directly through the brokerage. The compensation now had to come directly from the buyer. The primary function of the MLS and its foundation was an offer of cooperation and compensation. So since there's no longer cooperation and compensation, there's no foundation or actually fundamental need to be able to use the MLS as it pertains to real estate compensation. So that goes out the window. There's a large faction of a larger brokerage that would like to do away with cooperative compensation. So larger brokerages that have lots of inventory, lots of agents, have lots of opportunities. And it may be to the seller's advantage to not go to market and work within that brokerage, or they may prefer to have a privacy concern and not be publicly listed. Maybe you have a job change, you don't want to know your employer to know that you have your home on the market. You may have a luxury property, you may have some sensitivity around a relationship. There are lots of reasons why someone would not want someone to know that they have their home listed. There is another group of brokerages and movement that says that everything should be publicly available. And more like the Canadian model, which is mandated that every single thing has to be put in the MLS and it's more government regulated. The push-pull here is between the needs and the desires of sellers versus the needs and desires of buyers. There's a strong argument for buyers, which is to say that if we don't have access to all the inventory, you're now at a disadvantage, and that could potentially create a steering issue where a certain pocket of listings are not available to you because you don't have access to them because they're not connected to a certain brokerage. So it is a very complex conversation that's happening right now. There's some changes coming. If I had to bet, my instinct is that most brokerages will probably close ranks and will decide whether or not they are going to participate, which would change the entire landscape of how people search and look for properties. But this is also one of those unintended consequences. Their belief was that sellers were overpaying commissions. Since this changed by the Department of Justice and the government, commission levels have actually gone up. So consumers are actually paying more on the balance, and now they may actually eliminate the full inventory availability because of the way that they have collapsed the primary use of the MLS. So if you find this interesting, you have a question, I'd love to hear your opinion. I'd love to hear what you're thinking. Just leave a comment, send me a message. I'd love to talk it out and hear where this whole thing goes.